This is the Bringing Business to Retail podcast with today's guest, Josh Elledge.
Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast on SelenaKnight.com. Stay ahead of the competition by opening your doors to business experts so you can learn, grow, and be inspired. Passionate about bringing business strategies to independent retailers, please welcome your host, Selena Knight.
Hey there, welcome to today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. I'm Selena Knight, the retail strategist, and thank you so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to learn, grow, and be inspired. And I have to say, over the last 2 weeks, that is exactly what I have done. I have learned so much. I feel like I've grown so much, and I have definitely been inspired by retailers just like you. These last 2 weeks have been a fantastic journey. I personally welcomed hundreds of people into the Retail Breakthrough series. I actually challenged myself to go and record personal videos for each person who came in, and I recorded a lot of them. I don't know if I'll be able to do it again just because of the sheer amount of time that it took, but I did them walking the dog. I did them while I was cooking dinner. Like, they were very candid, a simple hello and a welcome. And I just felt like it was something that I really wanted to do, to give it a one-off try, to see if that connection would help me. And I got so much out of doing those videos. I was so inspired and so pumped by the replies that I got. I use this fantastic little app called Bonjoro, and I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But essentially what happens is you choose a trigger. So in my case, the trigger was somebody signed up to the Retail Breakthrough series. And then in the Bonjoro app, a little alert turns up that you have to send them a video. So it was really easy to use and quite simple to do. I started off doing like 1.5 minute videos, and they were just too long. I worked out really quickly that was not going to work when, the numbers just kept piling in. So I ended up dropping them down to between 30 and 45 seconds. And I always made sure to say the person's name. I often did them walking around, but I also gave them a call to action. And it is really important when you're doing any advertising that you ask the person who is looking at the advertising to do something. So in this case, it was just make sure to follow me on Facebook, because I was going to be doing my Facebook Lives there. And the great thing about Bonjoro is it actually will track the people who have watched your video, the people who've clicked your video, clicked your call to action, and the people who've opened your email, all those sorts of things. Now, this episode is not actually sponsored by Bonjoro. Maybe it should be. But I just wanted to let you know it's a really super cool app. I'll pop a link into the show notes about it. But there were so many breakthroughs. I received dozens of emails. So not only replies to my videos, but dozens of emails from retailers just like you, who were just getting up every day, turning up at their shop or turning up, behind the laptop in their e-commerce businesses and working away. And here's the thing, they were all tired of just slogging it out every day. The series actually made them realize that working more was not the answer to making more sales. So, for me, that is a breakthrough. If I can help you realize that, then, I feel like I'm part the way there of doing my job. Plus, on top of all of that, we kicked off the live version of Scale Your Store on Monday, which is my new program that walks retailers through the 5 steps that you need to take in order to boost your sales and profits. There is a lot of up-leveling going around for so many people, including myself. And today's guest, Josh Elledge, is here to share with you his wisdom, his knowledge on what up-leveling you should actually be focusing on. Because remember, a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about over the last few weeks is not getting caught up in the busy work. It's actually having a plan of what you need to do in order to move your business forward and focusing on that. So Josh is going to share with you what you should be focusing on if you want to grow your business, you want to land some PR, and you want to be known as the go-to store in your industry. So if you want all of those things, then stick around because you are going to love today's episode. And we've been talking a lot about hiring this month and getting those right people. So I'm actually sharing with you this month's download is actually the exact job ads that I used to hire my amazing team. I'm going to be sharing with you the job ad that I used to find my marketing manager, Monica, and the one I used to find my organizing ninja, Mooks, who is our jack of all trades. He does a lot in our business. And I'm going to share with you not only the ad, but also the application process that I made them go through. And I'm going to do that all for free. You can have those, you can take them, you can use them any way that you like so that you can hire the perfect person in your business next. And you can grab those for free over at selenaknight.com/hiring. Now, I have used job ads like this time and time again, no matter who I was hiring, from people on the shop floor, my accountant, my marketing manager. I've used virtual assistants. You can use these type of job ads for hiring pretty much anybody. So if you would like to steal my hiring documents, head on over to selenaknight.com/hiring and you can have them for free. Just enter your email address and I will send them through to you. Hey there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. We've been talking a lot about PR and getting your brand out there, getting yourself out there in order to grow your business. But what happens when you just can't afford a PR agency? Well, today's guest, Josh Elledge, is going to help you with exactly that. He's going to share some fantastic tips on how you can generate your own PR. So welcome to the show, Josh.
Oh my gosh, Selena, thank you so much. Yes, you picked the right guy to talk about this subject.
It is, we all know that we need to get our brand out there, or we need to get ourselves out there as the expert or as an expert in whatever it is we sell. And it is so easy to have that dream of, if I could just get my product in front of the Academy Awards people, or if I could just get my product on a major TV network. But in reality, that doesn't just happen, does it? No one just picks up a brand and says, I'm going to put this on Oprah. Well, not Oprah anymore, but Ellen. I'm going to put this on Ellen. It doesn't really work. I'm pretty sure that from the experiences I've had, that takes a ton of grit. That's a ton of getting up every day, getting your brand out there, responding to media call-outs, all these kinds of things in order to be featured. Would you agree?
Yeah, most certainly. And the reason is because, for every Oprah, every Ellen, every Good Morning America, Good Morning Australia, the best, the biggest of the big outlets, there are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who would love that honor of working with them. So how does that matchmaking, if I feel like it's like Jim Carrey from Dumb and Dumber. So, more like 1 in a million are your chances. And so his response is like, so you're saying there's a chance of getting on Ellen's show? Well, there is a chance of getting on Ellen's show. But what you absolutely need to do is earn your way there. And what we've learned about working with our own clients and helping them get on national media and international media is that it is absolutely a process. And that process begins by starting small and earning your way up. And along the way, you'll also increase your authority. And authority is something that we're definitely going to be talking about today.
Yes, I was telling you before we started recording that before I was doing what I'm doing now, I was known a little bit in the industry as the nappy lady because my store sold eco baby products, and I was really passionate about, and I still am, reducing landfill and the benefits of using reusable nappies. And so I was writing blogs. I founded a not-for-profit. I was the president of a not-for-profit organization that now is an advocacy organization. So they're still going strong, which is fantastic. I went to my local councils and I was showing them the benefits, reducing landfill. They were all about reducing landfill. I was in the local paper many, many times. We won loads of awards. I was on TV a few times, and it's quite funny now. But as a result, if people saw me, that's what they thought about. And I know that it drove so much traffic especially to my web store, because people, there was always links through to our store from those articles. And what I discovered was then I got started by these councils to host workshops or come and speak at eco events and things like that, because they just knew I was there. And if I had not been responding to those call outs, if I'd not been writing those blogs, this was a little while ago, blogs were still popular then. And I was even doing video back when, when people weren't doing video. If people hadn't have seen those, I wouldn't have got those experiences, which I absolutely loved doing. And I loved for what they could help, the earth do with sustainability. So that was a long time ago though. We're talking 2008, 2010. How has the landscape changed now? I feel like it's a lot easier to be known now.
Well, the reality is that it's so much easier to connect with anybody that you want. And social media platforms like Twitter in particular have made it ridiculously easy to connect with the media. Now, that said, it's also easy for the hundreds of thousands of other people that are vying for that influencer's attention. And so how do you stand out from the rest? And it comes down to a couple of things, and we're going to talk about those. Number one is your authority or your perceived authority. And then number two would be kind of your method of engagement. And has a really big factor on this as well. Now, authority, and it's really interesting. I was speaking with someone today, and currently they got paid about around $2,500 per speaking engagement. And they said, Josh, how do I get to $5,000 per speaking engagement? And I asked them, I said, well, what do you think the difference is? And they said, well, maybe you have to ask for it. And I said, yeah, I think you need to ask for it.
Funny that.
But let me ask you a question. What do you think let's just forget $5,000. Let's go right for $10,000, a $10,000 per engagement speaker. What do you imagine their website looks like if they're charging 10 grand per speaking engagement? And they said, well, it probably looks pretty good, really professional, very clean, good photos, good testimonials. I said, I think you're probably right. How about their social media? What do you think their social media looks like? Oh, they probably have some followers and some engagement. And again, professional photos, professional imagery. They're sharing good content, and people, you could tell people are engaging with them. I say, yeah, I think you're probably right there too. And I said, what about if we were to do a Google search and we were to search for that speaker? What do you think Google would show us? I said, probably lots of articles that they've appeared in, maybe blogs, maybe some other things that show that this speaker is definitely getting around and getting well known. I said, well, I think you just answered all your questions right there. And so that is what you do. And so if you're looking at increasing your PR and you want to look like a $10,000 per engagement speaker, or in the case that we're speaking about, if you want to, I don't want to say impress, but if you want to get the attention.
I think impress is the right word.
Yeah. And it really, and look, I don't want to be flippant about this. This is how it is done. If you want to stand out, you have to gain the respect of the producers, the writers, the journalists, the influencers. And the best way to do influencer marketing is to be an influencer yourself. By the way, that is an extraordinary tweet. If you want to tweet that and tag me, I would be happy to retweet that, by the way.
Done.
Because it's absolutely the truth.
How?
So social media, your Google search results, and then of course your online branding and your website, incredibly important to standing out, because again, once you get those things in place, the rest is kind of easy. Because if you're a player, right, if you look like you've got it together, people are going to naturally want to work with you. Let me ask you this question, and I love this, Selena. If you have, and I know you already have had so much success, both as the nappy lady and in other ways, but imagine, and the person who's listening to this conversation, imagine that I just waved my magic wand, and I actually just did it for those who are not watching me. Imagine I waved my magic wand, and you now have 10 times the authority in your space. Imagine what that would be like. would people engage with you naturally? Would your customers want to buy with you much easier? Would influencers want to work with you just kind of on their own? All of that stuff improves when you take your authority and your influence very, very seriously, and you just work very hard on building an audience. You work on your branding, you invest money into good website development and design. It all will pay off. And then you work on getting small media, easy stuff, and then you work your way up, because all of that stuff matters when an influencer is thinking, I don't know who this Josh Elledge guy is. He sounds nice, but maybe I should check him out before I spend much time with him. We all do that. And of course, when they do and they Google me, I can tell you exactly what they're going to find, because I've been serving audiences for well over a decade in the couponing and shopping space with Savings Angel, and then over the past 4 years in how to grow your authority, influence, and get tons of media.
Okay, so for people listening, they're saying, Sal, right at the beginning, you told me I'm going to be able to do this on a shoestring budget. And now you've come and said, you really got to have a decent website and you've got to up your social media. Which one of those do you think they should start on first?
Well, yes, all of them. So you got to do what you got to do. And listen, to the person who is struggling and you're like, I need to make more money. Like, I get it. I've so been there. I know what that feels like. And I just want to let you know that it's all going to be okay. It's all going to work out. And it's just going to take a little bit of time. So please be patient. And I promise you, all of your wildest dreams will come true in business. You just have to do the deal. And this is what everybody else has done. There's really not a lot of shortcuts. But if you're out there selling and selling and selling, and you're frustrated that people are not buying, I would encourage you to say, maybe I can find a way to work with a photographer on trade. I would say headshots. That's the biggest no-brainer. So if you have a friend, maybe someone you go to church with or something like that, who can kind of help you out on some headshots, and you can slip them maybe $50 instead of $150, that would be money very, very well spent. And over time, and I would say within the first few months, I think you should start to see some improvements. So it's very, very important. Similarly, like designer, be very careful, but you could probably get away with maybe hiring. Again, do your due diligence. Don't get bamboozled into working with someone who's not professional. But on Fiverr or Upwork, you could probably find someone that could do some great graphic design work for you very inexpensively.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the headshots, if it's one thing that I would urge everybody to have, it is just one decent headshot that really portrays who you are and the message you're trying to get across. You see mine, they're all very fun, because I try and make this whole business thing a little bit less dull and boring, hopefully. But when you do get featured somewhere, if you've got a really crappy headshot, it could be the difference between not being run, is what I've discovered.
Oh gosh, yes. Absolutely, absolutely. And by the way, I should say that if you want to do video, like if you want to do TV, you absolutely better make sure that you've got video on your social media. Like, you're easy to find on YouTube, and you've got embedded videos on your website, because media is not going to touch you. Or I should say TV media is not going to touch you if you don't have video of yourself on your website somewhere.
And we're not talking high professional stuff. It could just be a Facebook Live, right? They just want to see that you're comfortable in front of a camera.
Yes, absolutely.
That's fantastic. Okay, so now we know we have to spruce up our website, which in reality, in this day and age, guys, this stuff is templated. Just pay the $50 and buy a nice template for your Shopify store, for your Magento store, whatever. Just pay the $50.
Yeah, it's really worth it. And I know some investments feel kind of scary at the beginning when you don't have any money, but these ones are really important, really, really important. And it's going to improve your success rate with everything moving forward. What I don't want you to do is, maybe dump a bunch of money into Facebook ads when you're clearly not ready for that. I mean, you could do it if you have to, but I would much rather you maybe take an extra couple of months, get your branding right, get your photos, get your offer worked on, make some money elsewhere while you're doing that, and then launch it the right way, and it will pay off for you.
And this comes back to what you were saying earlier. It's time or money. You can be successful if you're prepared to wait it out, or if you've got a ton of money that you're just prepared to dump into making this thing work. And
yes,
I think what people have to realize is the whole PR thing, it is a long game. Becoming an authority, you don't become the authority overnight. I actually found it quite difficult when I closed those doors for the last time and handed the keys to the new owner and went off to do what I'm doing now, which I was kind of doing on the side anyway, helping, doing some coaching and things like that. And it's a whole new industry. I was nobody. I was no longer, Sal from
starting
Flower Shop.
over.
I was just nobody. I was Selena Knight. Who are you? That lady who was once selling me nappies. And it is a long game. And it's now kind of, nearly 3 years later of putting out that consistent content, of replying to so many call outs, of just asking if I can speak at events and being told no, but hey, you can write a blog for us. To now where I do get asked to speak at events, where I do have the people who email me and say, how do I work with you? I'm not Tony Robbins yet. I'm not commanding $10,000 for an appearance. Not to say that I don't want to get there. We just refreshed the website. Thank you very much for that.
Nice.
But what I'm trying to say is this doesn't just happen overnight. And even if you get that first run in the media, it is up to you to take that and leverage that. I just want to put that out there because I did nothing with the first time I was in the paper.
No. Yeah. And that's really, really critical. And so a lot of times, people will think that, oh boy, if you can get me on TV, then all my wildest dreams are going to come true because everybody's going to see me for the first time and they're instantly going to want to buy my stuff. Probably not. If you're lucky, you might make a couple of sales. What that does is it brings people into the top of your funnel. And it's really not that many. So it's not the be all end all. So then you're like, well, Josh, what's the point then? The point is the people that there's several reasons why you want to be in the media that we've kind of talked about. Number one, you build a relationship with an influencer or a journalist, which could pay you off, it can pay for years and years and years, decades by having those relationships. That's one. Number two, yes, it's good exposure. Number three, it's good authority. And so now you have logos that you can put on your website, and that's going to improve your conversion rate. It's going to help you when you want to charge more for speaking or you want to publish your book and people can see, oh my gosh, they've been on TV. Oh boy, they've been talked about from some YouTube celebrity was raving about them a year ago. That's also part of your authority. But your most immediate payoff is what you do with that media. So let's say that Inc. magazine, a writer from Inc. magazine quotes you as part of a story that is relevant to your industry. So if you just sit on that and say, oh, well, I hope the readers of Inc.com really love getting to know me, that's like a small fraction of the total value that you get from that. And the bigger value is, again, you sharing that Inc. feature with all of your audiences. You should be blasting it on Twitter. You should be sharing it on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Pinterest, like everywhere, right? You should be telling everybody. You should be asking people to share it. You should be celebrating like this is the biggest thing that's ever happened to you. And then you should email it. You should put that article on your website. You should, just find every possible way you can promote the fact that you are quoted as an expert in Inc. magazine. And the bigger deal you make of it, the bigger deal your clients and customers are going to make of it.
That is an interesting concept, because as you were saying it, I was thinking the same thing everybody else I'm sure is thinking is, oh my God, my people are just going to get so over me talking about this thing.
No, not at all.
But then when you said the bigger you make it, the more important they're going to think it is. I was like,
absolutely,
I can see that.
Selena, I have to share with you this, and that is that, yeah, when you share a win like this, now, again, a lot of it is how you share it as well. I mean, you don't want to talk like you're an egomaniac, but you want to share, when you share that win, the people who know, like, and trust you, okay, they're going to celebrate that victory for you. And what I want you to think of is, I don't want you to share it for your benefit. I want you to share it for their benefit and for the benefit of your tribe and this community that you've built. Because what you are doing is you are affirming to them that they hitched their trailer to the right, their wagon to the right horse. They have backed the right team. And this, again, is a validation that they chose wisely. They believed in you early on. They joined your community. They followed you. They got to know you. And now you have this win. You are actually making them feel good when you have this. Now, if you start getting a lot of media, then obviously it's like, okay, well, I was, in Inc. magazine for the 20th time this month. It's no longer the biggest thing that's ever happened in your life. But you do still share that, and you do that in a way that says, listen, friends, this is a confirmation that what you and I believe in, what we are all kind of fighting for, is absolutely what people want to hear. Here we are again. We are being validated. That's how you celebrate it. And people aren't going to get mad at that. And by the way, if you really truly have someone that is that petty, that they're going to be jealous, or they'll just unfollow you, and they're not part of your tribe anyway. People that are part of your tribe will absolutely celebrate all those wins.
I think what we forget sometimes is the people who buy our stuff, because that's what we do, we sell products. The people who buy our stuff want to be associated with our brand.
Yeah.
Think Nike, think Apple, think Lululemon. People carry those brands around on show because they want you to think a certain way. And I love surfwear is a great example of this. Yeah, people wear surfwear when they're in the middle of the desert. There's no beach. There's no surfing going on. But they want to be associated with that. I'm chilled out. I'm laid back. I love the beach. They want to be associated with that lifestyle. Very rarely do I think people buy the T-shirts because they look pretty. It's because they want to be associated with that brand. And you're saying the exact same thing. When your customers see that success for you, that win, they want to be that person who says, I knew her before she was famous.
That's right.
We all want to say that.
That's
I knew them before they were famous. And when you are featured, it's like, right, I knew she was awesome, or I knew they were awesome. I bought stuff from that store before they were famous. And like you said, now I'm validated. I'm like, I'm going back there because clearly, Style Magazine thinks the same thing, or, Inc. thinks the same thing. So I know they've got my back. I know if I go there, they're going to have the right thing for me.
Yeah. I love what you just shared about I knew them when. It's kind of funny because I was having a conversation with a high school friend of mine who is now actually on our team. And we were talking about bands, and we were talking about, oh my gosh, I went to a Nine Inch Nails concert when, it was no bigger than this restaurant. And then, a few years later, they were playing stadiums. We were kind of comparing stories of bands that we saw kind of earlier in their lifespan. And people take pride in that.
Oh yeah, I knew someone before they were famous. I went to school with the actress Toni Collette.
Ah, nice.
That's about my claim to fame.
That's your claim to fame.
I'm sure I can think of another one, but that's about it for now. All right. So there are a lot of people out there thinking, I'm an introvert. I'm not you, Sal. I don't like being in front of the camera. I don't like talking to people. How the heck do I grow my influence? How do I up my influence when I don't want to be on TV, but I do want that recognition?
Sure. Well, there's a lot of different media that you can do. And a lot of times people may say, well, I have no interest in being in traditional media. I only want to be working with Instagram celebrities. Well, you know what? The rules are pretty much the same. And so that's good news for people who have no interest in being in front of a camera. And I will tell you, by the way, and I'm not going to force you, but I can tell you that I know plenty of people who were incredibly uncomfortable in front of about being in front of a camera, that slowly became a little bit more comfortable with it, to the point where eventually they were doing TV on a regular basis. I was incredibly uncomfortable with the idea of being a podcaster until I started one 5 years ago, which, by the way, makes me a grandfather in the podcasting world.
Wow.
But I knew I wanted to podcast for at least 2 years prior to that, but I was fearful of that level of exposure that I knew I would have to have as a podcaster.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because if you like talking and you don't like video, podcasting is perfect. And I will say, I'll tell you a little quick story. I like to talk, but I was scared of talking. When I had my stores, we used to do story time once a fortnight. And I used to pay somebody to come and read books to the kids. These are like 2-year-old kids. They don't know if you're good at it or not. And the lady kept saying to me, you can do this. Why are you paying me to come and read a story to the kids? It's anyone can do it. And I was like, no, I don't get kids as much as I have a kid shop. I don't understand how the whole voice thing, like, you sound so good when you do it. I just read the book. And she kept sort of saying to me, you could do this, you could do this. And eventually I ended up going to Toastmasters. And it just helped. It helped me sort of break through that ice of, actually, I am pretty good at talking. I can tell a good story. So now I use that as an example of, I used to pay someone to read to 2-year-olds, like probably the simplest thing that you could possibly do. And now I talk for a living.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that.
It is possible. Now, again, that said, you don't have to do TV. There's lots of other media that you can do. And you know what? TV might not be ready for you anyway. So, get your experience by perhaps working with podcasters, maybe working with bloggers and other social media people, and just find a way to serve their audience. Don't worry about like trying to sell yourself. Just focus on serving audiences, and people are going to love that. And that's, by the way, in terms of like rules of engagement, that's really the philosophy that you want to have.
Okay. So far we've got, let's go and get ourselves on podcasts. Do you want to give some tips on how to pitch yourself to a podcast?
Well, yeah, again, I think you just, again, out of the gate, please don't bang on the doors of the big ladies and big guys out there. They get hit up so much. We work with some of those bigger name podcasters, and they get hit up all the time, just like big media. So you don't need that right away. And just focus on amassing some smaller podcasts out there. There's many to choose from. And what I prefer to do is I would prefer that if you want to be on a podcast, that you should really listen to that podcast quite a bit, get familiar, get to understand their culture, get to understand maybe some references that podcaster makes, just get to know them a little bit. Try to make this as authentic as possible rather than just selling yourself. Instead, make a connection. One of our core values at Up My Influence is human connection. And that's why we do so well with our clients in helping them get big media connections, is that we just really focus on what is the most authentic, organic way that we can do this, where it makes it a win-win for everybody. So then when you kind of fall in love with a podcast, then follow them on social media. Maybe do some nice things for them. Retweet some of their stuff. Certainly like some of their stuff. Join their online community. Follow. Get on their Facebook page and engage with them there. And then at some point, you are going to make an offer where you could ask a question and you say, where you would say, I have a great deal of success in the blank space, in the nappy space, for example. We've built a sales organization where we've done over $500,000 in sales this year. May I ask, what is your process for guest applications? It would be my dream, my honor. I've been listening to your show to be a guest. So here's the thing. Media, nobody throws away fan mail. So if you approach them as a fan and you let them know, no, I truly listen, I truly read what you write, and I really, really love it. And honestly, for me, this is about service and serving your audience and really trying to provide as much value as I possibly can. And, with that kind of approach, I think it generally should work out pretty well for you.
Okay. A lot of people here are thinking, but I just have a shop or I just have an e-commerce store. I'm not an expert in anything, Josh. How do I make myself the expert in? What the hell do I make myself an expert in?
Yeah. Boy, you just got a reaction out of me. Okay, you ready? What I want everybody to do is, if you're listening to this podcast on a phone, I want you to grab your phone and I want you to look at the screen right now. Phone doesn't even have to be on. If you're listening on any other device, I want you to kind of glance at whatever device is emanating the audio. You ready? Here I go. All right. What I did is I just waved my hands in the air. All right. You are now an expert. I kid you not. The day that now, here's the reality. If you've been doing what you've been doing for several months or a couple of years, you definitely know more than 99.9% of the population on that particular topic. There are really only a few, I'd say, professions where you really need to have some credentialed education in order to speak on that subject. A lot of things that people want to learn about don't necessarily require a PhD. What we need more than more brains is that we need a willing heart to teach. It's kind of funny, like Frank Abagnale, and he's a famous con artist. He was featured his story was featured in the movie Catch Me If You Can with Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio. And one of the things that he pretended to do was he pretended to be a college professor. And they asked, well, how were you able to do that? You don't know anything about history or whatever the subject was that he was teaching. He goes, no, you're right. All I had to do was just read one chapter ahead from the class. And all of a sudden, I was an expert in that one particular topic. And that's all that it took. And so I'm not suggesting here anybody needs to be phony or a con artist of any kind. I'm just suggesting that you should be willing to serve and provide value to audiences. We need more teachers with willing hearts. And because of that, you are now an expert in what you do. It's kind of funny. The day I became a consumer advocate is the day that somebody asked me, are you a consumer advocate? And I said,
Sure.
Why, yes, I am. Yes, I am a consumer advocate.
How did you know?
It's funny. I mean, we all of us suffer from imposter syndrome to one degree or another. I get it. That's an easy human trap that we can fall into. But step out of your comfort zone, not for your sake, but for the sake of your audience. They need you to lead. They need you to teach. They need you to be willing to own your expertise.
Here's the thing that I've found. If you are real, if you're sharing your experiences, good, bad, ugly, even if they're a complete failure, that builds the connection, and the connection builds the tribe. And I actually struggle with that. Funnily enough, I struggle with that because I don't like anybody to see things that go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? You have to show sometimes that cake fail. Sometimes, sometimes you forget to press record on a podcast. Not this time,
Yeah.
but sometimes you do. Sometimes crap just happens.
Absolutely.
And if you don't share that, I think you distance yourself from your tribe. You become, not necessarily put on a pedestal, but they don't necessarily have that connection with you than if you're a real live person who's going through the same stuff every single day that they're going through.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, and that shows a human side of you. So don't worry about being perfect. Just let people know I am trying and I'm dedicated to this and I'm committed to bringing you value and being of service to you.
Do you think we've missed anything out? We've talked about the website. We've talked about social media. We've talked about podcasts and traditional TV media, print media, and just getting yourself out there. Do you think we've missed anything?
Those are the absolute most important things. And I want you to know that when you do reach out to an influential journalist or producer, or podcaster, or social media person, and you get radio silence, it's not that they don't like you. It's just they're very, very busy. And so if it feels like they're ignoring you, maybe they are because you're not quite at the level that they're looking for. And I don't want you to take offense to that. It's just, you have to understand that, the biggest of the big, they can get 20, 50, 80, 100 proposals a day. And so it has nothing to do with you. It's just their busy schedule. And sometimes it's just, they just miss it in the noise that comes through. And so generally, following up is great. And if that doesn't work, then just keep on working on being their friend. And, eventually you'll make that connection that you want. And sometimes, you have to go around it in different ways and, talk to friends of theirs. And, you can work your way into just about anybody. And I will end with this. It is so, so, so worth it to be high authority in your space. I just had the honor of speaking at Social Media Marketing World, and this is my second year speaking there. And it is just so cool to be able to walk in and have people want to rush up and get their photo taken with you. And, I don't need it for the significance, but it's cool to be able to know that I'm making an impact on people's lives. And it does. I mean, it feels good to know that that's the kind of effect that I can have on people. So I just want to encourage you that if you're going down this road and maybe it's been slow going, keep at it. Keep doing the stuff that I talked about in this conversation. Keep working at it. It may take a year or two, but I promise you it is so worth it.
And you have a fantastic offer, a very, very generous offer. Thank you so much to help people get along their way. And what does that offer look like?
Oh, yeah. Well, we're really big on education. And we just believe that anything education or information should be free. And so only for the person who has listened, you are a very lucky person and you've gotten to this far in the conversation. You clearly are someone who deserves that next level of success. So here's what I want you to do. If you go to upmyinfluence.com and you click on the page that says product or pricing and you look there, you'll see a product, and this is not going to be for much longer, but it will be as this episode goes live. Just click on free. And what that's going to do is that's going to give you free access to our $1,200 video library. And again, I sold a bunch of them at $1,200. I just have a real heart for serving. And I also, in particular, the struggling startup who's, looking to really grow and kind of get beyond where they're at right now, gain some recognition. That library it is absolutely life-changing. But again, so that's upmyinfluence.com, and then just click on to kind of take a look at our platform or our product. But you'll look, if you see there's a button that says free, find that, click that, and all your wildest dreams will come true.
We'll certainly put a link, and I'm looking at it right now. Use these phrases and terms to get right into right to the executive producer. How to get free advertising on radio, print, and major media websites. How to rock your TV interview and be invited back. So this is really good. You know, I've already signed up, right?
Good.
I'm always looking for another way. What do I need to do to up my influence? I was going to say to up my level of authority, but to up my influence. That's a fantastic catchphrase.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And just we'll put the link again straight to there, but you're at upmyinfluence.com. And what about social media? Sounds like you're going to be a fun kind of guy to follow on social media.
Yeah. So if you go to upmyinfluence.com and look in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see all of our socials. I really love Twitter, love Instagram, love Facebook. I love LinkedIn, probably a little bit too much. So if you distract me and connect with me there, you will absolutely keep me distracted from my work. So please do it.
Thank you so much for sharing all of this on the show today.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure, Selena. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You can find all of the show notes over at selenaknight.com. If you found something that you heard today particularly useful, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher. And of course, feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit by listening to it. Want more retail biz strategies? You can watch the Bringing Business to Retail TV show, where each week I'll answer a question or provide you with a simple, actionable retail biz strategy that you can implement in your business right away. If you have a question or a guest, I'd love to hear from you. Drop my team an email at podcast@selenaknight.com, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week.